This situation didn't need to turn into a story, but Phil Mickelson made sure it did. Anthony Kim winning at LIV Adelaide was already enough on its own. A player who had been out of the game for years comes back at 40 and beats a strong field. That's a good story. It didn't need anything added to it. But then Phil stepped in and pushed it further than it needed to go. Instead of just calling it a great comeback, he said he wouldn't be surprised if Kim could win a major championship. That's where the reaction started, because now the conversation wasn't about the win anymore. It was about whether that claim actually makes sense. If you look at it realistically, it doesn't. Kim hadn't won a professional event since 2010. He had been out of the game for more than a decade. Even after this win, his world ranking is nowhere near the level required to compete consistently in majors. Getting into those fields is already difficult. Winning one means beating the best players in the world over 4 rounds on the toughest courses. That's not something you jump into just because you had one good week. That's why people didn't take Phil's comments seriously. What made it worse is that this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Not long ago, Phil made a prediction about Scottie Scheffler that didn't hold up either. When Scheffler had a slow start to 2025, Phil questioned whether he would win anything before the Ryder Cup. At the time, it sounded like a bold opinion. But Scheffler responded in the only way that matters in golf. He won. Multiple times. Big tournaments, major championships, consistent results. By the time the Ryder Cup arrived, that prediction wasn't just wrong. It looked completely off. Scheffler didn't need to make a big deal out of it. When he was asked about it later, he kept it simple. He said it didn't age very well. That was enough because the results already made the point. That's the difference between where these two are right now. One is talking about what might happen. The other is showing what actually happens. That's why this Anthony Kim comment stands out more than it should. It's not just about Kim, it's about the pattern. Phil is still trying to shape how people see the game, especially when it comes to LIV golf. Every strong performance from a LIV player gets amplified. Every moment becomes part of a bigger argument. But when that argument stretches too far from reality, it loses its impact. Saying Kim had a great win is fair. Saying he could win a major right now is something else. At the same time, Kim himself hasn't made those claims. After the win, he spoke about improving step by step, focusing on getting better each day. That's a realistic approach. He understands where he is. The gap between returning to form and competing at the highest level is still there. And that's what most people in golf see as well. So this isn't really a debate between Phil and Scheffler. It's more about how the game is being talked about right now. There's a difference between highlighting a good story and turning it into something it isn't yet. Phil is still a big voice in the sport, but when the predictions don't match the results, people stop taking them seriously. Scheffler doesn't have that issue. His position is clear. He's winning, he's consistent, and he's at the top of the game. There's nothing to argue about there, and that's why his response, even when it's quiet, carries more weight. In the end, this comes down to something simple. Golf doesn't reward opinions. It rewards performance. Kim had a great week. That part is real. But majors are a different level, and right now, there's no evidence to support that jump. Phil can say it's possible, but until it actually happens, it stays just that, a statement, not a result.